Hello lovelies, Dyan Reaveley here of Dylusions. We've got episode 2 of the Diamond series. Come into the studio, come in. And what we're going to do today is we're going to use the Diamond dust with the medium pad through Stencils. So gorgeous, so gorgeous. So gather your things and we'll get going. Hi, so for using the dust through a stencil, we're going to need the dusts. Again, in my trusty box. We're going to use the Diamond medium. We're going to use some stencils. I've got Christmas ones out at the moment, but can use all sorts. And, oh, the brushes. Just need the brushes. Some water for the binders. And again, either cheap hairspray or a pastel chalk, charcoal fixative. Okay, so I think I'm just going to do a sort of an all over, as in I am going to put some star flurries, I think, at the top of the page, and I'm going to put some holly at the bottom of the page. Okay, so you take a stencil, any stencil, but not one with too big an opening. You don't want it to be too large. Take your Diamond medium pad, and then what you have to do is you have to press down and you have to tap it through. Now, you have to press because otherwise it won't go through. I know the stencil's not very thick, but if you don't press down, it won't actually go through the stencil, and then you'll be left with very patchy results. Okay, so then we're going to take this and I'm just going to wipe the stencil clean, because remember, this is a slow drying ink. We don't want to have ink all over. And then I think I'm going to do pink and blue snowflakes. So I'm going to pick up my fluffer. I'm going to pick up some of the I could do individual colours, but I don't want to. I just want like a mixed look here. So this is bubblegum pink and London blue for the snowflakes. Okay, I'm just going to turn the heater off because it's too warm. You may recall in my last episode, I said if it's too warm, the medium is going to dry quickly. So, dab it down. Just brush off, blow off the excess, and then just lightly dust. Now, again, if you've got too much on there, there's just a lot to get off, so less is more. Okay, so there we go. And then I think at the bottom I'm going to use Jolly Holly. Where is Jolly Holly? There it is. Oh. I was using these on the television, and obviously I hadn't wiped them properly. So again, let's put the holly along the bottom. Let's take the medium pad and press through. Again, if you're on the black, you can see where you've gone through. Just smooth it all over. Let's wipe this. I usually put it on a piece of paper to wipe it so it doesn't go all over my work surface. Now, I am going to do the berries in Postbox Red. So I'm going to go in with my faffy brush and just do the berries. Okay, pounce that into position, and then I'm going to take the green, not too much, even though we've got a lot to do. You don't want to put too much on. Remember, the more you put on, the more you've got to deal with taking off. There we go. Pounce it down in position. And then lightly just dust off the excess. If you've been very heavy-handed, wait for it to dry a bit more before you do that. Okay, so there we have, through a stencil, a whole page. So I'm going to lightly spritz it with water to activate the binders, exactly as we did when we stamped with them. So again, because I'm doing a class, I'm going to dry it. You don't have to dry this, you could just leave it. It only takes a few minutes. You could just leave this. I'm going to come back to this and do some doodling on it in a bit to show you. Okay, so we just dry it, and then I'm going to use the cheap hairspray and move it off to the side, just like we did when we were stamping. There we go. Little coat. You don't need a lot. You don't need to drown it. You don't need to have a bouffant. So again, we have that all of us. I'm going to pop that to one side, and actually, I just want to get. Let me just get the page out. That one. This one. I want to have a page out of the book to show you. Just because I think it'll be easy to show you. So I'm going to pop that to one side to dry, and then I'm going to come back to it. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use a large and a small stencil. So I am going to go back to the star flurry that I just used, but I'm also going to get the small star flurry. Okay, and what I'm going to do with this is I'm actually going to put some washi tape on it, because I don't want to go over the edge of the stencil. With a pad, it's, you know, you have to be really careful. Sorry, I'm just getting the washi tape. I should have prepared it earlier. There we go. I'm going to do quite a thick washi tape, because when I'm adding this down, I don't want to go over the edge. Okay, so I'm going to position it in the centre. Whoops. Where's the end of the washi tape? Oh, typical. Oh, that way? Which way? Oh, goodness me. I could have got a decent one, couldn't I? Let me just cut a little line, see if I can get it. Sometimes if your washi tape's not going, if you just cut a new line, just don't go too deep, because you don't want to go through all of it. Let's see, have I gone through all of it? Cool. Oh, no, went through all of it. Never mind. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to position it down like so. I cut through 2 layers by mistake. That's okay. There we go. So a bit of washi to anything. You could put a bit of paper down, but I found if I just put paper down, I tend to be a little bit gung-ho, and it moves. I just don't want it to stick solid, so I'm just peeling it back up and laying it down, because if I do it too solid, it'll lift up the paper. You can do it on your arm or something, but some of these tattoos are quite fresh, and I don't want to do it on my arm. I'll do it on the other arm to show you how I would do that, because if you put it straight on, there can just be a little bit too much stick, and we don't want that. So you could do that, and then you could put it on your arm or your leg or whatever. Okay. So now I don't have to be as neat. So I can take my pad and again press through, and you want it to go right through. Again, when I've been teaching this, people are just sort of doing this on the top. You have to press it down so you can see it getting through the stencil. Okay, so there it is, it's all over. And then as I peel this back, I can just put it on here to use it again. So I can just put it on my mat. Because I do, you know, I normally do a lot more than one at a time. So I should pop it on here for next time. And I am going to run my cloth over it because it's got some of the medium on. So let's take my cloth. So as well as smoothing it down, oh, whoops, Dyan, you love it, don't you? You love when I do. Oh, let's put that there. It's rolled back on itself, so it's rolled back on the medium. So I'll just add some glue next time. Okay, and then I'm going to take this and I'm just going to lightly dust. Okay, so now I think I'm going to put pink in the centre. Now I could go in and do each individual, but it would dry really, really quickly. I'd have to be ever so quick to do it. So when you're doing a biggish stencil, you are better doing the fluffing method rather than the faffing. Okay. So now I go in, pounce, make sure it's gone everywhere it should, and then just lightly dust off. Oh, I got the paper there, never mind. Just lightly dust off the excess. Okay, and then I'm going to take the large stencil and I'm going to place it down the side like so, and I'm going to take a scrap of paper and I'm going to come right to the end there. So I'm covering up what's underneath, okay? And then I'm going to press through this Okay, I'm going to lift it up. I'm not going to clean that because I'm going to use it again. And then I'm going to take the blue and I'm going to come down the side. So the small is in the pink, the large is in the blue. Okay. And turn it round and I'm going to do exactly the same again. So I'm going to line that up as it was. And place the paper on the top. And I'm going to come through. Oops. Never mind. There we go. Now, if I put tape on this one, it would lift up the dust that we've already got. So that's why I am not adding tape. It would lift up the dust from here. Okay. Let me dust it off, and then we're going to do in between. Okay, so I'm going to put a scrap of paper underneath this time. And I'm going to line this up. I'm lining up with the top there. Place this over the top. And then I'm just going to do in this little bit, which is why I got a piece of paper, because obviously... Now, the snowflakes are not going to match up, but it doesn't matter, because we can't match all of the sides, obviously. And then we're going to do exactly the same at the bottom. So it depends how much faffing you want to faff, really. And turn it round. Line it up one more time. And then I'm just going to go in this little bit, remember. It might overlap slightly. Right, I'm just going to put that to one side. I'll come back to it because I want to clean this stencil. Otherwise, you know, with it being sort of more of a, it's not oily as such, but with it being slow drying, it gives that oily texture. So I'm just going to put that there. I'm going to add that in there. As I say, it won't damage your stamps, it won't damage your stencils, but I do like to take the excess off. So now I'm just going to go back and make sure. Wonderful. And then I'm going to dust off any excess. Okay. You can see there I did that bit of paper, but it'll be fine. Let's tear that off. So I'm going to spritz it with the water. And it's spritz, not drown. You only need a little bit to activate those binders. And again, you don't need a heat gun. You do need a heat gun when we come to use the rocks, but you don't need a heat gun for this. You can just put it to one side and leave it to dry. And if, like me, you think it's going to be handled a lot, I'm going to spritz it with the cheap hairspray. So you see, you don't worry too much about this not lining up. It's absolutely fine. You couldn't get it lined up even if you tried, you know. So, away from the camera, just because I don't want it to go all over my screens. And there we are. So these two through stencils. Okay, so once it's dry, this is dry now, I'm going to pop this to one side. You can leave it just as it is, but what I like to do is I like to outline them. I take a piece of kitchen oil just because I'm going to rest my arm on it, okay? And you can use a white pen, you can use a black pen, you can use a gold pen. You could choose whatever you wanted. It could be a paint pen. Sorry, I'm trying to find a white pen that works. I moved all my pens around this morning and mixed them up, and I used to know exactly which white pen worked. And now I'm picking up all the half pens. I think that one does. Let me see. That works. Wonderful. I'll sort them out later. So you can either be very precise like this, or like me, I'm terrible. It is what it is. Now, you wouldn't do this before you've set your dust, because otherwise the dust is going to eat the pen. And depending the camera angle, you might not see this at the moment. Not sure what it's showing on the camera, but that's how it will show. I like that effect. You could leave it totally on its own, or you can come in and doodle. So I'm going to doodle with black and with white to show you. But as I say, if your dust hasn't been set, it will actually eat your pen. So make sure that you've activated the binders on here. Okay, but I just think it just really gives it a lift. And, you know, be like me, don't care, just be very loose. Oops. This pen is not brilliant, but I think it'll last. I think it'll last me to go round. If not, I'll find another one. I like to use a paint pen, but gel pens are great as well if you want to use a gel pen. You've left chance of, well, a white gel pen, I don't know. I was going to say you've left chance of bunging it up if it's a gel pen, but that depends. If it's a glaze pen, you can't really break a glaze pen. But white pens are notoriously the worst pens to work with. So and don't worry if you're watching this and it's not Christmas, just use any of your other stencils. Usually most stencils that I do large, I would say 90% of stencils that I make large, I also make in a small, so you can do the other technique as well. My advice, just don't go for too big a stencil, as in too big a pattern. This is a big stencil, but the pattern isn't big, because, you know, it will dry up too quickly, and don't have your room too warm. If you were being neat, you'd be a lot slower than me. Don't worry about it. I'm not neat and I'm fast. Okay. So, in fact, I think I'm going to do all white on this page, and I'll do white and black on the next page. So all you're doing is you're following the stencil around. I might end up getting a new pen, but that's okay. I think this one is on its last legs. And remember, you're going to be covering a lot of this, so don't worry if you've got what we call fluming. Fluming is if you can see bits of the shimmer in between your pattern. I'm never bothered about that. If you wanted to eliminate that, you would just be really precise when you're doing things, and I'm not. I'm not precise. I never have been. I don't want to be. I mean, there's certain times where you have to be precise with some things, but I want to enjoy myself, and being precise is not one way. So I am always very loose when I am doodling or anything like that. So if you wanted this to be a lot neater, you could, but you would just do like a quarter of a stencil at a time and build it up like that. But most of this is going to be covered, so it doesn't matter to me. Not most, but a lot of this is going to be covered. So I think I'm also going to put in, now this is going on the mica, on the dust. So again, you've got to really make sure that yours is sealed. Mine is probably not sealed enough at the moment because I've only just done it, which is why it's eating my pen a bit. I would probably do this the next day, you know, the day after I have done. Okay. See, just adding a little in the background, and then I would probably add some collage on here. You can see all the shimmer. Okay, so let's go back to the second page. And with this one, again, it's probably not dry enough, but you don't want to be hanging around waiting for me, do you? So I shall continue. So with the centre, in the middle here, I'm probably going to go a bit neater because it's smaller. Now, when I say I'm going to go a bit neater, I'm not neat. I'm just a bit neater than otherwise. Again, you know, you really want this. I would usually leave it a day and then outline things, but obviously we haven't got a day, have we? I think my pen is showing the strain and it's running out at the same time. But you can see it actually sounds quite empty, this pen, so let me just see if I've got another. Hang on. A lot of them aren't even opened yet because I've got them all mixed in. So sometimes when I pull them out, I haven't even got them going yet, like that one. What have I got here? Try this one. I'm going to open a new one, especially for you, I think. Oh no, that one goes. Here we go. Here we are. Oh, that's better. I think the other one was on its last legs. But I mean, I use them so much. I'm hardly surprised. I'm constantly using paint pens. You can see the difference with this colour. I might have to go over these top ones again, but don't worry, I won't put you through that. You see, I just turn it so that I'm not leaning right across it all the time. And I've got my hand going in the right direction. I don't like to do this. I like to be comfy when I'm doing. So I turn the paper rather than my hand. Oh, I forgot I was supposed to be doing neat, wasn't I? I told you I can't really do neat for long. I just I get carried away. I just suppose this is neat for me, I don't know. And I'm going to do the outside in a black glaze pen, just to show you something different, because my favourite doodling on the dust is white or black glaze. You can use a plain black pen as well. A plain paint pen in black shows up. You know, you don't really want to have everything in your face, so a plain black, but I'm going to use the glaze on here. It's a Sakura black glaze pen. The clear would also work, because the clear picks up the colour of the card that you're working on, and just turns it a darker shade. So it would pick up the black and turn it a darker black, so that would work as well. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to come around these edges, wherever it's at the edge. You can see here that earlier pen, it was running out, so just go over there. I'll just go over the edges again. I'll do the other bit later. They just don't look right, do they, in that pale colour? I think I've just got this one and two bits on another to do. That's better. These two. Yes, that's a lot better. Okay, so you can see okay, and so look at all these white pens. I just pulled them all out. I'll sort them later, because now I've lost my best white one again. So the pen I like to use is a glaze pen. Let me just show you actually that a black pen, a plain black paint pen would work. So this is just a plain black paint pen, because I can go over it with a glaze, so that's fine. So just outlining here, you can see here, just outlining with a plain pen is lovely and will work and make it sharper, but I'm going to use the glaze. Now the black glaze, it's Sakura, and when you first get it, it's got this little end on. The number of people who go, it's not working, you've got to take the little end off, okay? And what it is with the glaze pen is, if you go slow, you get this thick, glossy line, and it's just so lovely. So, but it dries slower, so you have to be careful that you don't put your hand back in it. Now, if it's very porous, it will soak into the paper. So sometimes I will do this twice. I'm not sure if you can see, but it's soaking into the paper a bit, so it's not as glossy as it would be. But I usually wait until whatever I'm putting on the top of the page, until I've put that on, before I go over and do it a second time, because anything that's underneath something, it's a waste to do it a second time, I feel. So I usually do it once all the way around. I'll do halfway and then you can see the difference. And you can see this time my hand's mainly this side, so I'm not leaning across that centre. Oh, that was the one I did in plain. So I'll do down to the bottom of this side and then show you the difference between the two. And then I'll do a couple of them a second time and then you can really see. But it depends, you know, I go through tons of these pens. You might not want to. You might want to just do it with a plain pen, a plain black gel pen. Oh, plain black gel pen would look nice. I particularly love these. I buy them like 24 at a time. And people say, how long do they last? They'll last forever if you never use them. Mine don't last long because I'm using them all the time. Because I just love the effect. It just really sharpens up. To me, it looks like an embossed edge. So I'll just go to the bottom of this side and then I shall show you the two. So I'm not sure, I can't really see what the camera's picking up, but this side has the black around it. This side doesn't. But can you see it's not too in your face at the moment? So let's finish this and then I will go over one or two again to show you the effect you can get if you want to. They do a white glaze pen as well. I never feel it necessary to use that. They do lots of different coloured glaze pens. I love black and white because black and white are not colours, so therefore they go with everything. So I tend to use those the most, and I tend to do a black glaze and just a white paint. But we all have our preferences. And you don't have to use anything. As I say, you can just, you know, have it bare. I do love an outline though, because I'm a doodler. So, you know, if there's anything I can get my hands on to doodle, I am going to do it. Okay, so then we've done the whole page, like so. So I'll just do these few up here. This top corner, I will go over it again and you'll see the difference. Because if you go over the exact line, it's not porous anymore because you've put that line on it. So it will stand out really, really glossy, but it takes a lot longer to dry. So just beware that. It doesn't take hours. You're talking, I don't know, a few minutes, but just don't put smudge by mistake. If you notice, when I'm working, I always turn my paper anti-clockwise away from this hand so that the wet side is going away. Okay, one and a bit more. Now you can probably see the difference from down here. It looks darker, and it's because these have soaked in slightly. They still look good and they still look shiny, but look at the gloss you get with this. I just love it. And then everything that's around it, it just seems to disappear. And you can doodle in with that as well. But this is still wet. This was totally dry. This was still wet. Okay. So, shall we do one on a mixed media tag? Oh, let's have a look. I'll go for an everyday. We've had a couple of Christmas, so let's go for an everyday one. I'm just going to pop this out of the way. And let's get an everyday stencil. What shall we have? Oh, let's get one where we can do a couple of... oh, let's have this. Just a backgroundy one. So I'm going to use this, but it means that I can do the circles in one colourway and the diamonds in another colourway. Okay, I don't have to tape anything this time because the stencil is bigger than the actual tag. But remember, it is harder to see. So always learn on black, start on black, practice on black, and then come on to mixed media. Okay, so let's get my faffy brush. Let's go. So I am just going to do all the dots in the postbox red. Ooh, wrapping paper would be nice, wouldn't it? Oh, missed a dot down there. Oh, yeah, wrapping paper would be really cool. And again, don't forget you can do this over a painted page as well. It doesn't have to be, you know, blank page. Again, not every... I did say to you in one of the episodes that there's a lot of people have... I call it dust, they might call it pearl or powder or whatever. Not everybody's has as much pigment, so just check. Some people's will only really work on black. You know, some colours are a lot more iridescent than others, so they only really work on black. So just check with yours. And if it's not showing up, remember, it's not necessarily you. It could be the brand of powder that you're using. No worries at all. And then just stick to the darker colours if it is. Not all powders are created for the same thing, you know. Mine had to have colour because I wanted to do this. The hardest one to show up of mine on oh goodness me, on a light is the Laid Back Lilac, because it has a lot lighter pearls in. So okay, so get rid of the excess and then just slightly dust off. Okay. There we are. Lightly spritz it with water, or just throw it to one side. You know, lightly spritz it with water. I'm going to dry it, but you could just throw it to one side and do a few at a time and dry them. They will just dry on their own really quickly. And again, because this is not on black, if I use the cheap hairspray, it's going to discolour. The reason we use cheap hairsprays is expensive hairspray has too many nutrients in it. So I'm going to use a fixative. which unfortunately they're 5 times the price. So I use them on the lighter colours rather than darker. So again, you can see here. And when this is dry, when this is cured, I'll give it a minute. I think I'm going to do it in black. And then I might put a little bit, we haven't used my stickles yet, have we? There is my stickles, there it is. I might put a little bit of my stickles on. Let's just waft it a minute. Waft, 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 there we go. And then again, I usually have on the top, but this time what I'm going to do, because they're all the same shape, I'm going to do all the downward. I did tell you that I like to repetition, go in the same direction. Again, you didn't need to outline this at all, but I like to show you what I do. I find it too hard to resist doing this. And can you imagine if this was on a black tag as well, how gorgeous it would look? If it looks this gorgeous on a light tag, it would look unbelievable on a dark tag. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is just turn the tag. Just join them up. Again, if you're neat, go ahead, be neat. I'm not. I've nothing against people being neat. I just can't be bothered. This could be done with the glaze, but again, because this is a background, you know, I'll probably just put an image on. I don't feel I need to do the glaze. If I want to add the glaze pen later, I can do. I can go over it. There we go. That makes it stand out more. Now the white's not really going to show, so I am badly going to just roughly outline these as well. Okay, and then for a change, if you're going to use, this is the Dylusions stickles. I'm not really a glitter fan, but I do like a little bit of stickles. Okay, so what I'm going to do, but it's usually the last thing you do and you really have to let it dry. So I am just going to add a touch. Now mine is, let's add a bit there. I always keep a pin because mine's got tiny little bits of flakes in and they always end up blocking. So I take the lid off and I always just have a pin, stick a pin in it. It's got to be a steel pin so that it doesn't rust. But I'm just going to add a little bit in here. And the stickles that I have, the Dylusion stickles, is it will dry totally clear, just with some little iridescent shimmers showing. So it will still show the colour. Oops. Still show the colour that's underneath. I don't do it very thick, but you could do it thick. And I always just put, this is a steel pin, so I always just put the pin in. And this will dry with just a shimmer. At the moment it probably looks a bit too glittery, but it will pick up the colour underneath. So I'm not sure if you can see, but this looks as though it's blue and this looks as though it's pink, and it's not, it's the same colour. So, and I could do it on here as well. Again, I would normally wait till I've decorated it because I don't want the stickles. It takes a long time to dry, and a lot of this is going to be covered. So I'm just going to do half to show you. I've got one, there's the same piece. Oh, hang on. I don't know if you can see it. There's one piece there that that's the one that keeps blocking it. Can I get it out? Oh, I don't know. Come on. Sometimes you get a slightly too big piece and it just blocks the opening. So that's why. Never cut the end off your stickles. I see people doing that. They get it blocked and then they cut the end off, and then you just get massive pools out of it. Oh, I said I was only going to do half. Oh, well, I've done it now. And again, my stickle skills are very messy. So, okay. I just like that little bit. This is probably not showing very well because, again, it dries. It's always cloudy until it dries, and then it goes totally clear and you'll just see the colour coming from underneath. So there we go. If you enjoyed this episode 2, subscribe to my channel, and this is a whole series using the whole diamond range. So next one is episode 3, and we are going to be turning them into paints. We are going to be painting with the diamond dust. Okay, see you later. Bye.